And we kick off this evening with a look at the cinema.
I'm not a complicated man. I like cinema.
It's beautiful, beautiful cinema.
Cinema history come to life.
I found my solace in the small cinema I went to every Thursday night.
I'm a professor of cinema.
I go to the cinema for the stories.
There was no competition between the cinema and seminar.
I mean, it's not within the realm of conventional cinema.
And now,
here's Payson Johnson
with a cinema review.
It is Monday, January 12th, 2026, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Cinemasters Reviews. First show of 2026. Super excited to see all you guys. Hope you all had a great holiday break off. I know I did. I watched a lot of movies, did a lot of relaxing with the family, did a lot of spending time with the family. Really excited to be spending time with you all. And I say we jump right into the show. We're going to be reviewing two movies this week. One is a new 2026 release, and the other is a holdover from 2025 that just recently expanded wide. I jump right in, starting with the probably the biggest wide release this week, that being Primate, directed by Johannes Roberts. This is the new horror film from Johannes Roberts. He is most well known for directing another animal-based horror movie, 47 Meters Down. Came out around, I want to say, like close to 10 years ago. I believe it was 2017. This movie follows a college graduate by the name of Lucy. She recently just graduated from college. She's coming back home to Hawaii to spend time with her family and also to spend time with her pet chimpanzee, Ben. But while Lucy and her friends are having a pool party, Ben ends up eating an animal that is infected with rabies, and Ben ends up escaping his cage, attacking his handler, and suddenly Lucy and all of her friends have to find a way to survive the night with their dad out of town promoting his new book in order to survive the night, and unfortunately maybe having to put Ben down in the process. Welcome to January, everyone. January is often known as the toilet bowl of the year. It is where so many studios have used all of their money up on awards campaigns, on marketing budgets, and are sort of in that process of like getting ready for the year to start back up again. And usually you will see like really just cheap knockoff type films in January. And coming into Primate, I was kind of afraid that, like, okay, I'm watching this movie about this chimpanzee terrorizing this group of 20-somethings. It's probably going to be bad. Hopefully it's going to be fun. I'll be honest, guys, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I should probably put the banner up. My bad. I had a lot of fun with Primate, and I think the best part of this movie is the fact that it knows exactly what type of film it is trying to be and strikes a really, really great balance. Oh, there is a timer on these. I should turn that timer off because that is annoying. I do not want to handle that. This is a fun horror movie where these good-looking characters are trying to survive from this terrorizing animal. It's not like this like supernatural fantasy creature. No, it is a rabid chimpanzee. One of the fun parts about the movie, it sets up very early on that Ben is not able to swim. So throughout the majority of the film, the characters are in their pool, just far enough out of the pool where Ben cannot grab them, because if he grabs them, he will end up drowning. And yeah, it is a movie that knows how stupid it is, knows how dumb it is, but it's having a lot of fun with that concept and doesn't take itself too seriously to the point where it's kind of hard not to be entertained with what it is giving you. I think probably the best decision this movie did was the fact that we are not dealing with a CGI chimpanzee. We are not dealing with a real chimpanzee. Obviously, real monkeys are rarely ever used in movies because that could go so poorly. It would probably end up becoming a real-life horror movie on the set of this with the actors in danger. No, what this movie decides to do, it decides to put a real guy in a monkey suit in order to really just sort of sell the fact that a chimpanzee is in this like isolated house for people, and it only makes it feel like that much more scary because you know you are watching something that actually does feel real. I think one of the worst parts of CGI is when you can tell a movie studio isn't willing to put the time and the effort to make that CGI look good. It takes you out of it so much because you know what you are looking at is fake, and animals are always very, very tough to capture, not just with the fact that it's always just going to look a little bit fake with CGI, but also the fact that that it's so hard to really like capture in a pinpoint nature how an animal moves, how an animal walks. You can kind of tell that this is a guy in a suit with it. Not saying that the monkey suit that you're watching isn't really good because it is. It does kind of just do some comical things in this suit that like a real life monkey would do, specifically one that is on rabies. Yes, I do know that a monkey and a chimpanzee aren't technically the same thing. I'm using those terms colloquially, but I think it just helps the fact that that you see this character in Ben, and it is something that you can reach out and touch. You do feel like it can actually grab the characters. It does feel like it is walking around and climbing around this environment. So it does help you feel a little bit more immersed in this movie, even though what you're watching is kind of ridiculous. There are several scenes where I'm genuinely laughing at the pure audacity at what I'm watching in a good way. I do think I do believe Johannes Roberts did have a slight amount of self-awareness while making this movie. But yeah, I do think the decision to put an actual human actor in the monkey suit was a really, really good idea. You can absolutely tell the second that Lucy gets to this house, when she meets all of her friends, when she meets her sister again, when she meets this guy that she does have a crush on and she really wants to hook up with, you can very clearly tell who is going to be making it out of the movie alive and who is going to be making it to the end. There's no sense of surprise of like, ooh, is this character going to make it? Will they be able to use their wits that they are not displaying at all in the first act of the movie? And will those somehow sprout out in the second and third act to find a way to find a plan in order to survive this rabid chimpanzee? None of that. All of these characters are essentially fodder for Ben to kill. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you're not necessarily going to this movie for these like really well-developed, really well-thought-out character arcs. No, you are going to it to see these this chimpanzee terrorize these poor young people, and that is exactly what you get. It's so funny. Probably towards towards the end of the second act, the beginning of the third act, Lucy on the plane coming into Hawaii, she meets these guys on the plane that her and her friend want to sleep with. And while terrorizing them, they try to call them in order to sort of say like, hey, send help because our dad can't be there. And they only get a few lines out. They aren't really able to tell them that, hey, a chimpanzee is in the house. When you get here, be careful. So they're coming over just like super libido heavy, super horny, like wanting to bang these characters. And the second they walk through that door, you know exactly that Ben is going to murder them in the most brutal way possible. And it is really fun because just watching these like super like braggadocio characters like be completely like humbled by this chimpanzee is the funniest thing in the world. I've mentioned several times that the kills in this movie are memorable, and that is one of the selling points of this movie. The kills in this film are absolutely brutal and grotesque. The first kill that you see Ben do, he tackles someone down and straight up rips the first layer of this guy's skin off of his face, and it only gets more violent and disturbing throughout. Johannes Roberts really knew how to put the budget into the blood and the gore of this horror movie. Definitely gives the people what they want. If you're going to this movie hoping to see some really cool kills, you are definitely going to be getting that. Something I didn't mention, Troy Kotsur plays the father to Lucy. If you saw Troy Kotsur, he played the main character's dad in that film. He's a deaf actor, won an Oscar for that role. Excellent performance. He's in this movie. It is really fun to see him act because obviously there aren't enough roles for actors who are deaf in Hollywood, and it was just fun that they did decide to cast Troy Kotsur. Movie does absolutely nothing with him. Like he is in a good amount of the movie, but in no way was he like asked to like stretch his acting capabilities. But it is just fun to see an actor like Troy Kotsur, specifically in a like trashy horror movie like this. So I will give it credit that none of the actors are really like excellent per se, but Troy Kotsur is the one that I think just the fact that it is Troy Kotsur, he is such a talented actor. He's the one giving this movie probably the most dignity in his performances. If I had one major complaint, I will say the entirety of like the action in this movie takes place throughout one night. And with it being at night, it is a very, very dark movie, and I don't think the lighting was all that great. There were just a few times where it was very, very tough to see what was going on. And I think if this movie didn't have that lighting issue, this is a fun, dumb horror movie that I would give like rave recommendation to. That is just such like a major knock against it. I'm like, man, could the cinematographer have done like a little bit more with the lighting here? But honestly, that's really like my only like major complaint. Aside from the fact that this is admittedly a very, very dumb movie, but I will say, getting a movie like this that is barely 80 minutes long, it has a very, very simple concept of watching this chimpanzee terrorize these characters, and it doesn't try to add any like super heavy layers or super heavy themes into it. No, it's like, no, this is a fun horror movie that you're coming to see. It knows exactly what its audience wants, and it is willing to get, and it delivers that in spades, in my opinion. If I were to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 10 videotapes, 0 being awful, 10 being incredible, I'm kind of shocked I'm giving it this high. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. In no way do I think this is a great horror movie, but I think for what it is trying to achieve, I can't help but say it is a good movie. And if you are a fan of brutal and vile horror films, this is one that you are going to like, and I would recommend you go see it in theaters because you are probably going to be having a good time. If you're not a fan of horror movies, stay away from this one. It's probably not going to give you any too much, but if you're just looking for a fun time at a theater, watching characters in danger from some sort of ridiculous scenario, this is Primate is one that is going to tickle your fancy quite a bit. But I say we head right into the second review of the night, that being No Other Choice, directed by the legendary Park Chan-wook. Once again, I gotta fix the timer on these banners. I don't know why putting a timer is the default on this. No Other Choice, directed by Park Chan-wook. I'll just say it. The master Park Chan-wook, Korean filmmaker. He directed such films as Old Boy, the original and the good version, The Handmaiden, Decision to Leave, Thirst. So many incredible films. This is his first film since 2022's Decision to Leave. And this has been a passion project of him to adapt the story. This follows a paper worker by the name of Monsu, played by, I wrote the actor's name down, Lee Byung-hun. He has recently just been let go from his position at his job because the paper company that he works at has been purchased by an American company, and they laid off a bunch of people. And Monsu, someone that thought he was very, very content in his life. He had a very good relationship with his wife. Their daughter is like a cello prodigy, and they're teaching her a lot of cello skills. They have a very, very nice house, and suddenly his entire life is completely upended because he ends up getting laid off. And he doesn't really know what to do with his life because the funds are starting to run dry, and he needs to make certain calls. So what does he decide to do? He doesn't try to look for another job because this man loves his status and wants the original position he had. No, of course not. He decides to find the other people that are in talks to take his new position at his old company, and he is going to kill them off one by one in order to get his job back. This is probably Park Chan-wook is one of my favorite filmmakers. I think he's the closest thing we have to Alfred Hitchcock nowadays. Alfred Hitchcock was known for making these very like multi-layered dimensional thrillers, and Park Chan-wook does that. He obviously makes them a lot more violent than Hitchcock. He makes them a lot more sexual than Hitchcock. But I think from the content that we get, I think the themes and the layers of all of these characters, whenever I watch a Park Chan-wook, I always just want to get in these characters' heads and try to figure out what is going on, what is making them do things that they decide to do. It is fascinating how Park Chan-wook works. And how he translates his language as a filmmaker onto these characters. And it's funny, the plot I just said sounds very, very dramatic. I think this is maybe Park Chan-wook's most comedic film, aside from maybe I'm a Cyborg and That's Okay. I don't think Park Chan-wook has made like a straight up dark comedy like this. And I'm going to give him props for taking a genre that is as hard to make as dark comedy. Some of my favorite movies of all time are dark comedies, but it is very, very easy to mess up that genre. Park Chan-wook slams the tonal shift of the comedy and the twisted darkness of the story so well. And I'm just gonna say I absolutely adored this film. This is one of my favorite movies of 2025, and Park Chan-wook is able to craft both a twisted story, but also a story that had me laughing many times because of how messed up the film I was watching, and just every little like twist that is added to the story, everything that Monsu does, I was just fascinated to see what this character would do next. And from a pure like filmmaking and script writing standpoint, it almost feels like so technically engineered to get the audience just so enraptured in this like crazy story. Yeah, the intrigue of watching Monsu slowly start to become more deranged is so funny, because like he the second he's laid off, there was like this one moment where like he first gets the idea of like, can I just kill this person, because he gets this opportunity, and then he decides, no, I probably shouldn't go through with it. And then he goes home and he's like, you know what? No, I'm going to commit. I'm going to make a full-on plan. I'm going to take these characters out one by one. Each character he meets on this journey, he realizes also isn't that great of a person. They are also going through their weird struggles. The actual line, "No other choice," is said several times in the movie by different male characters in the film. Each time someone says, "Sorry, I did this because I had no other choice," it's so funny because if you've been watching the movie, you clearly see they have been having these choices. And they just keep on making bad decisions. Watching Monsu completely like destroy his life from within in every single bad decision he makes, as he starts committing more and more crimes in order to get this job back. When he could so easily, well, not necessarily so easily, but like when he could just like put this sort of lifestyle behind him, try to like downsize his life with his family, and try to get a new job. He is just so prideful of like, no, I want my old job. It is a symbol of status here in South Korea. It is really funny. There's this one hilarious scene. It's where Monsu's about to kill the first person that is essentially in the line for the job that he had. And as the movie's been going on, we learn that this guy's wife has been cheating on him. He's been a really shitty husband. Not Monsu, the guy he's planning on killing. And when Monsu goes to kill this guy, he's listening to music really loudly, and we get this dramatic scene of Monsu just saying, you know, don't take it personally. I'm gonna have to kill you. This is what it's gonna be. And the guy he's talking is like, man, why? My wife's been cheating on me. My life is so hard. Can't you just cut me a break? So funny, and just so many different things keep happening. Monsu is not like, goes through so many waves of like, there are certain moments where he's like, no, I am a killer. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get back my life. And then there are other points where he's just so incompetent of everything, of like, no, I don't want to bring people down to my level. I don't want to mess up other people's life. And I just think of how Park Chan-wook balances the comedy of this. Is such a well-made film. I've been seeing this comparison a lot. This is not an original take. This feels like the best Coen Brothers film that was not directed by the Coen brothers, and how just twisted, how messed up the story is, just certain things that happen with the characters, certain things that like shouldn't be funny at all, but it's just made really just really funny with how it's presented to the audience. I really love that. The sound design is excellent in this film. Park Chan-wook, specifically this decade, has been able to just make like certain sound cues so just like memorable in the film, and just how this movie uses even the Netflix startup cue of the there's a scene where characters like where Monsu is like, you know, we're gonna have to cancel Netflix, and their son is like, well, may as well watch one more show before we cancel. And then as he's going away, you just hear the badoon, and it's just so funny, and just all the little sound cues he does. From another technical aspect, the cross fades and dissolves of how Park Chan-wook shoots this movie and how he presents certain characters. Being able to show multiple things happening in the film in different locations, with certain scenes crossed onto each other. It could seem very confusing in lesser hands. It could very much fall apart. But in the hands of a genius like Park Chan-wook, it only makes the movie that much more interesting to watch and that much more engaged as you are watching this story. The commentary on capitalism and how the workplace is starting to dehumanize workers, and how that has only led to us sort of like eating each other from our own tail. It's not like super overt, but it's really well done in everything. The actual ending of this film, without giving it away, is haunting, because it is saying like essentially what I think like the final statement Park Chan-wook is giving us is, we are going down a path that in no way is going to be better for society. We are going to be worse as humans for this. And if we don't put a stop to it now, there might not be any turning back. It is a pessimistic ending, but I really love bleak cinema, especially when you can be as entertaining as this movie is. But yeah, I really loved this film. Lee Byung-hun is great as the main character. He plays emotionless at points. He plays very like monotone in the way he delivers his lines. But just everything he goes through is just really great. The entire cast is excellent. Every scene that Monsu has with his wife is great, because she eventually starts getting in on his schemes. Yeah, I don't want to spoil where this movie goes, because I think this movie is probably best not knowing like the big scenes that happen. But I was just so amazed by how entertained, by how much I was laughing in this movie, and how much it just pissed me off with all of the ideas it was given. I very much give it a high seal of approval. If I were to rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 10 videotapes, I'm going to give it a very high 9.5 out of 10. Like I said, this is one of the best movies of 2025. I put this movie towards the top of Park Chan-wook's filmography. One of the better dark comedies I've seen in years. If you want a movie that is going to be very funny, but is also going to challenge you as a movie watcher, No Other Choice is one of those movies. It's always fun when you get to see an auteur with a clear vision as strong as this make his films, and this is one of his best films as far as I'm concerned. But that just about brings us to the end of our show this week. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like this video and subscribe to the video store. It helps grow our channel a lot. Next week, I'm going to be reviewing 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, the sequel to 28 Years Later, as well as Dead Man's Wire, the new film from Gus Van Sant. Super excited to be back this week. Super excited to be back in 2026. I always looking forward to this every Monday. I really want to make this like a consistent thing I do every single week. Last year got a little bit complicated. Trying to get back into the groove of things. Thank you all for tuning in, and as always, watch more movies.
And the award for most vapid film review of the century goes to...
Okay, movie review. Okay, I thought it was beauty.
And he's now in cinema hell, where one day we'll all be reunited.
This is me at the Regal Cinema crying as I did through much of the film.